Hey y'all, it's Rachel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today we are moving into a law related topic. I have one of my best friends here from law school, and we are going to give our top 10 tips for 1L students. Whether you're thinking about going to law school, about to start law school, or in your first year of law school, all these tips will be helpful. Stay tuned. Hey y'all, it's Rachel and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about lifestyle, fitness, and law. And today, I'm assuming if you click this specific video, it's because you're interested in going to law school, starting your first year of law school, or already in your first year of law school. I have asked my best friend, Shanna, that I met my first year of law school, to join me in this video.
Hi, I'm Shanna. I'm an attorney here in Atlanta, and today we're going to give you our 10 tips for a successful 1L year of law school, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
So be confident is my first tip. You got into law school, you have what it takes, you've already shown that, so don't let little things or anything that comes up throughout your first year make you feel down, because you got it, you can do it.
Yeah, and don't be intimidated, because it's a reason why the law school chose you and accepted you into their program. So you definitely have what it takes to get the job done, and you just have to remind yourself that a lot throughout the process. Tip number 2 is to network. Network within your class. The people that you're in law school with, you will see them again when you graduate from law school, or you might actually need something from them, or vice versa. Everybody doesn't end up practicing the same type of law, so sometimes you'll have people reach out to you and they might need legal advice about something that you don't practice. So then you can reach into your network with all of the people that you went to law school with and maybe refer one of them to help that person solve their problem. Everybody in that classroom is there for a reason. They're very intelligent, or they wouldn't be in law school, and they can add value to you as a person just like you can add value to them. So you definitely want to network with those people that you're around for 3 years. You know, it's not like undergrad where you might only have one class with someone. You have, all those classes that you have, majority will be with that same group of people throughout the 3 years. Like me and Shanna, we were in a section together. So literally all of our classes from 1L year to 3L year, we were together. Maybe like a couple of 3L classes we didn't have together because I might have done a clinic that she didn't do, or maybe we had an internship and the times were different. But like the people that you meet in law school, those are lifelong friends. Like these are people that you'll most likely end up talking to for the rest of your life. So definitely network within your class. Don't be afraid to meet new people and talk to 2Ls and 3Ls as well, because they'll graduate before you and they'll be able to give you advice when it's time to take the bar, or if you decide to open up your own law firm, they might have done that already, and instead of reinventing the wheel, you can reach out to them and get some advice.
Yeah, I guess one thing I'd add to that is just also on top of networking with your classmates, like our law school did a lot of like events where they bring in people that were already practicing. Network with those people, get their card, email them after the meeting or whatever and say, thank you for coming, and it's something that you're interested in, that could also be a path to an internship. Like you just never know. Just take every opportunity to network. Like law school, the 3 years, it's like a wealth of information that's kind of thrown at you, and it can be a bit much at times, but use every opportunity to make a connection with someone.
Yeah, this profession is all about connecting and networking with other people, because the purpose of the profession is to serve others. So you definitely want to network within your circle, outside of your circle, and just meet new people.
Yeah, and like I'm super shy most of the time, so like the thought of like networking or meeting people is hard. And even now, even in our profession, with us working, like before the pandemic, I was like, Rachel, I'm gonna go to events and I'm gonna email you or text you about each event I go to so that I can get out there and meet more attorneys, because I do notice that a lot of people ask for referrals or recommendation for something, and I may not know about that specific area, and it helps to be able to just reach into your network and be like, hey, this person needs help with this, can you help them?
Yes, it's very important to have a network, and also you can join different organizations on campus as well. Even as an attorney, there's different organizations that we join just to meet new people and just be around like-minded people that have the same goals as you as well.
So the third tip that comes to mind is know your professors. It's kind of like what they say in the profession, know your judge. So what you need to do is get an insight of who your professor is. That'll help you with exams, that'll help you preparing for class. A really good thing to do is talk to 2Ls and 3Ls that have already had that professor, and even anyone that's already graduated and had that professor. It just helps, that way you're prepared. It's always good to be prepared for class, but knowing how to prepare an outline or a case brief for that professor and how each professor wants it. Because I remember getting to 3L year and having a professor want us to completely brief way different than we have been doing our 1L year. So each professor is different, each judge in the profession is different.
And just to add to that, I would add going to the professor's office hours. They have office hours for a reason. If you have a question, go and ask that professor, the questions that you have so that they can help you, because if they don't know that you have a question, they're not able to clarify the information for you. So it's important to use the office hours and make sure that you go and get the information that you need so that you can be prepared for class and the final exam. All right, the next tip is to schedule out your day, your week. Every single day should be scheduled, even if you just write that, hey, this is my study block from 2 to 4, or this is the time that I might, not study, chill, relax, do something. But you need to schedule out your time, because there's a lot of readings that you have to complete in law school to be prepared for the class, and you want to make sure that you're able to get all those readings done. So I would advise getting like a calendar. Some people like to use their phone, or maybe have a whiteboard up in their house or their apartment, just something that can keep you organized so that you can account for your time, because the days go by really quickly in law school, and you want to make sure you're using your time to the best of your ability.
And I guess what I would add to that is also make sure you have time for yourself with that schedule. Treat it like a full-time job, like Rachel is saying. So have your day mapped out, that way you know what you're doing at each time. And it's okay to not completely follow it, but you want to make sure that you're not getting behind and that you are getting your assignments completed. So the next tip that comes to mind for me is look out for the bar prep program, because once you first get there, they'll tell you about Barbary, Kaplan, and a few others. I know before I got to law school, some judges that I had worked with had mentioned Barbary, and I'd only heard of Kaplan for other study materials. But one thing looking back that I wish I had done is kind of like experimented with Barbary, Kaplan, Quimby, and some of the other ones, because once I got to actually studying for the bar, I noticed that I didn't necessarily like the way one or the other did it. So had I took more time and played around with each study program itself, I probably would have had a little bit more knowledge about which one I like, which one worked better for me.
Yeah, and you definitely want to experiment with the different types of materials, like Shanna's saying, because you don't know what specifically works for you. And when it's time to study for the bar exam, that's not something that you want to figure out at that time. You want to kind of already know, hey, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. Some supplements have maybe flashcards, that doesn't work for everybody. Some have charts, that doesn't work for everybody. Some are more audio based, and that doesn't work for everybody. Some people need a combination of all, and some people just need one or the other. So definitely take time to learn those different materials, and as a 1L, when they're passing out freebies and free books and stuff, try to get those books so that you can see and look at their materials to see if those type of materials are helpful for you. All right, the next tip is to make sure you get sleep. Sleep is very important to success. In my opinion, they go hand in hand, and you cannot be present in class if you're sleepy. You can't be present when you're reading your materials if you're sleepy, and you can't write good briefs or notes if you're sleepy. So just make sure that you're getting good sleep. That's different for everybody. I personally needed 8 hours or I needed naps when I was in law school, so that's what I did. And you can adjust your schedule the best way that it makes it work for you. But definitely just make sure that somewhere in your schedule you're getting sleep. And you need sleep to be successful, for sure.
Right. I guess what I add to that is, for me, I definitely got enough sleep. I definitely took naps. The only thing for me was like when it came time for final exams, I could never sleep in my own bed. I had to like sleep on the sofa because I was always terrified that I was gonna oversleep.
Yeah, I missed the exam. But it's good to have alarms and friends, because I know a lot of exams we would check on each other in our study group, like, hey, are you up? Are you ready? Like, do you have your charger for your laptop? You have your pencils, things like that. So we definitely worked as a team to make sure everybody was actually in the building to take the test.
So another tip that comes to mind is don't talk to anyone after the exam. And the reason I say that is because people will try to get in your head and kind of like psych you out, but you've only taken your first exam, and then you have, however many other exams that come after that. Because I think your first year we had like 5 exams maybe? We had 5 classes.
5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, so it's like you don't want to, get so in your head that you can't even take the time to study for your next exam. There's more than one way to analyze a question. So just because you didn't do it the way your classmate or your friend did it doesn't mean it's the right way or that you did it wrong. Like, because some people will say, oh, well, I did it IRAC, and then someone will say, well, I did it crack, and that's, you'll learn that's like conclusion rule analysis. And then I forgot the C.
Conclusion.
And then, conclusion. So it's like, don't allow people to get in your head. We had a rule in our group where we weren't going to talk about it. We just go out to eat or whatever after the exam, just so that we could kind of relieve the stress and still be able to move on to the next exam.
Yes, we had a rule. The golden rule, it was that you could not talk about the exam after the exam, because the exam grades, they might not come back for a month or 2 anyway. So you just don't want to stress yourself out about something that you've already completed and it's no longer in your control. And like Shannon said, there's multiple ways to answer a question. Professors put a lot of different ways to get points in the exam, and everybody doesn't see everything the same way. So just do the best you can, and then just move on and get ready for the next exam.
Yeah, because there's like, people will be like, oh, well, I didn't see that issue. And it's like, you know what? I want to hear that.
Yeah. You don't have to see all the issues to get a great grade. You just have to see enough. So whatever you see is what you see, and whatever the other person saw is what they saw. It doesn't matter. There's no need to discuss it amongst yourselves. All right, the next tip is about internships. As a 1L, you definitely want to do some type of internship at the end of your 1L year. In the summer, I would recommend picking something that you're interested in. A lot of people do that. If you don't know what you're interested in, just pick something, because once you go to that internship and you get experience, that'll lead you down a path of where you actually want to go. Because the only way that you can learn what you don't like and what you like is to actually try something new. So look for different internships. Ask the 2 and 3Ls, where have they interned at? That's what I did my 1L year. My roommate was actually a 3L student, and she was very knowledgeable about internships. And the internship program that she actually did in DC is the one that I decided to do, because she had a really good experience. It ended up being a great program for me, and I actually met some very close friends there that I talked to every single day. So you definitely want to reach out to other people, look online, check with other attorneys that are in the area that might not have went to your school, and see what kind of internships they recommend. Sometimes you can split the summer and do an internship and then go to another internship. I've done that a summer. You also can maybe do some online courses and do an internship, or you could also do a legal clinic depending on what your law school offers, and then you're getting credit for the clinic, and you're also getting valuable experience as well.
Yes, I agree. To add to that, I did my 1L year after the end of it. I did do an internship at the school, and then I went back home for the rest of the summer and worked with an attorney that I worked for before. But one thing I will say with like what Rachel was saying about, just if you don't know what you really want to do, explore different options. And if you think you do know what you want to do, but you get there and you realize, I hate this, I don't really want to do it, that's okay. It's not an end of the world. That helps you figure out what you want to do by the time you get to your 3L year, because you don't want to be like me and be so interested in everything that even by the end of by the time you graduate, you still don't know what you want to do. You're still trying to figure it out, and that's okay too. Just have fun, enjoy it. You're learning things, and you'll see how those things that you learned in class, in your courses, how they'll apply to the actual practice of law. So enjoy it, take everything in.
And you also can consider doing internships maybe like during Christmas break. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but I actually did that, and it did lead to a job opportunity. So there's ways that you can make things work, whatever is best for you in your situation. But just be open. Like, don't be closed off to where you don't want to try something out. And if you don't know what you want to do, that's perfectly fine. Like, there's attorneys all over the world that do a million different things. So you'll eventually figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, I did that. My mom forced me to do an internship over Christmas break, and it was a great opportunity. I got to work in an area that I wouldn't have gotten to work in had I, not did it. It was nothing that I could have done while in law school, because I didn't see that kind of opportunity. So I'm glad I did it. Get out of your comfort zone with law school. Okay, so another tip that comes to mind is don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, I remember my 3L year that I didn't really understand remedies, and I still can't understand why why that didn't come together that for me. And when it did, it was because I had asked for help from actually someone that I knew that had graduated law school and had been practicing for about 2 years, and just talking to her about it really helped. And she actually had a supplement for me that really made everything make sense. And probably if I would have asked my professor, if I had been, not like afraid to ask for help, I probably could have gotten guidance from it a lot sooner. But also ask your classmates for help. Like, Rachel was good at property. Like, Rachel was like the person that's like, hey, Rachel, like, can you explain this to me? You do so well, you understand it. Torts, Rachel was good at torts as well. So don't be afraid to ask, because within your group, you're going to realize that some people are good at one thing, and then you're good at that other thing, so then you guys can kind of teach each other. I remember that one year that we did that, where you guys would teach something.
Each other.
So don't be afraid to ask for help. Even asking your professors, asking someone older than you, someone that's graduated, someone that's in your class, ask for help. Don't be afraid. I know it's like overwhelming and you're sometimes intimidated with the process, but no, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not understand something.
And even in the practice of law, like, lawyers ask each other for help all the time. Constantly looking things up to make sure that you completely understand it. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Like, the most successful people, if you speak to them, they ask for help a lot. So you can ask for help from your colleagues, which are your classmates. I refer to them as colleagues a lot of the times, because eventually they will be your colleagues. You can ask your professors, like Shanna was saying. You can ask other attorneys. Like, we have such access to a lot of information on our phones with the internet, and there's a lot of attorneys that if you were to just message them or email them, that they will be more than happy to help you with anything that you're struggling with as a law student, because we've all been there. So just don't be afraid to ask for help. tip is about outlines. Outlines are documents that synthesize and break down all the material that you learned over the semester. So depending on your learning type, your outline could look like a chart, your outline could look like a textbook, or your outline could be your flashcards. Some people have what they call like a lean sheet, which is just one sheet of paper and it has words on there that trigger their memory and they're able to study like that. So your outlines are important because that's what jogs your memory during your study process, and that's something that you want to create throughout the semester. So at the end of the semester, you're not trying to get all your documents together. Your documents are already together. You know where you're studying at. You've been looking at this material the entire semester. You're just using a study week or study weeks, depending on your law school, to just learn and re-jog your memory so that you're prepared for the final exam. So there is different resources out there already for free. You can contact different law students that are maybe 2 and 3Ls in your school, and maybe they can provide you with an outline for a class. But at the end of the day, I believe it's best to make your own outline because you know the information better, how you memorize it and how you learn it than anyone else. So if you create it, it just has more value when it's time to study. And sometimes you can look at other people's just to get an idea, or maybe make sure you're on the right path or that you didn't miss any information. But in my personal opinion, it's best to make your own outline.
I agree, yeah. Because I'm the type of person that learns better by writing it down. If I've written it down on something, I know it. If I put it in my own words. Don't be intimidated by creating outlines, though. I remember my first year, I was like, okay, I don't know how to create an outline. I don't know what I'm doing. But I think what it was for me is just like the term outline. I kind of got like in my head about that because it's like I've studied before. Like you studied in undergrad. So it's not like you don't know how to study. You don't know how to create a tool. And you maybe an outline may not even be the best thing for you. Maybe making like flashcards may be better. Maybe making PowerPoint. But find a way to, like Rachel said, print those notes all together in some way that you can study so that you can prepare for the exam. And I think if I had just realized like you've studied before, I wouldn't have probably been so much in my head like, I gotta create an outline, but I think by the time you get, done with your first year or your first round of exams, you kind of get an idea of like how to create an outline. But the best way of doing it is definitely from making sure you take really good notes. And like Rachel said, don't feel, ashamed to ask for help with that. Asking a 2L or a 3L. I remember Pad had like an outline bank. That was helpful, but my advice is that I wouldn't use that and just study from that, because that person could have had a different professor or a different understanding of it. So make sure you understand the material, because if it's just like words on a piece of paper, that may not mean much to you. So you need to take that and kind of edit it and use it so that you can prepare for the exam.
All right, y'all, now to summarize our top 10 tips for first year law students.
Number 1, be confident. You got this.
Number 2, network within your class.
Number 3, know your professors.
Number 4, schedule time.
And number 5, look into bar exam materials early and use supplements.
Number 6, make sure you get sleep.
Number 7, don't talk about the exam afterwards.
Number 8, seek out an internship.
Number 9, don't be afraid to ask for help.
And number 10, make outlines and keep good notes. So this concludes our top 10 tips for first year law students. If you have any questions or any other topics you would like us to cover from law school to law related topics, feel free to leave them below in the comments. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out because we're always down to help out. Well, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have a topic that you would like me and Shanna to cover that's law school related or law related, feel free to leave it in the comments. See y'all in the next video.